Good morning. I am Dr. Behzad Bhandari, Junior Consultant at SRCC Children's Hospital. This is Dr. Indu Khosla, Pediatric Pulmonologist, Senior Consultant, expert in bronchoscopy, sleep study, aerodigestive disorders, and many other things. Today's discussion will be on sleep disorders, something which is commonly seen among the pediatric age group, and our plans on starting a sleep clinic, which is going to benefit a lot of children out there. To discuss further on this topic, I will hand it over to Dr. Indu. So Dr. Indu, what exactly are sleep disorders?
So, as a practicing doctor, as a practicing pediatrician, most of the pediatricians out there, parents will approach, the mothers will approach the doctor to say, my child does not sleep, especially infants, and they are really fed up. They say, khud bhi nahi sota hai aur humko bhi nahi sota hai. So, is that a sleep disorder? And how should we understand what are sleep disorders, right? So, there are two aspects to it. One is normal sleep, which we need to understand, and we need to understand the evolution of normal sleep. And then there is another full set of disorders of sleep. And when we call disorders of sleep, these are disorders which affect the sleep, either because there is obstruction in breathing and obstruction in the child taking in oxygen while sleeping, or there are a whole set of movement disorders where the child has movements during sleep which affects his sleep. So that is abnormal, and here when every mother who comes and tells you my child is not sleeping, you have to really go into the details to find out, is it what she is calling it as normal thing, or when she's actually, but you must not waver off and say nahi ye to bacche to aise sote nahi hai, that's not correct. Okay. So you need to go into the history and find out whether this is normal sleep that she's talking about or something wrong even with that normal child who's not sleeping.
Absolutely. So what kind of sleep disorders are we talking about here in children?
Okay, so when we talk about infants, we all know, we know of the proverb sleep like a baby, but I think the person who wrote sleep like a baby did not have a baby. I personally feel like that.
Maybe you don't sleep and they don't let you also sleep.
Very true. So the first few months of life, the first 3 months to 6 months, babies do sleep 16 to 18 hours in a day. But it is with gaps, so they typically get into deep sleep. They are active, and in 2.5, 3 hours they will be up. They are up because they need to take a feed. So this is normal. So this continues till the age of 3 months to 5 months to 6 months. Post that, babies can actually start sleeping longer. So they will take 2-3 short naps in a day, but in the night they should be able to sleep for about 6 to 8 hours at a stretch. And after 6 to 8 months, they can actually sleep for 6 to 8 hours without a feed. But we very commonly see that this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen because we need to sleep train our babies. So this is what the sleep clinic is all about, to help you sleep train your babies so that you can sleep well, and babies can also sleep well, because a healthy baby is the one who sleeps well, because that is required for brain development as well as physical growth. So this is one aspect, which is normal sleep and sleep hygiene, what we call. Sleep hygiene also comes into play with in adolescents, where we all know they have a lot of screens, they won't sleep in the night, they will get up late. So that also sleep hygiene is extremely important. So this is one aspect of a sleep clinic, and the other is when they have abnormalities. So the commonest is if children have enlarged tonsils or adenoids, and when they sleep back, the tonsil and adenoid jut into the airway, obstruct the airway, and children cannot breathe. So they start snoring. Or you may have children who have abnormal faces, like say you have children who have abnormal shape of the skull, abnormal shape of the mouth. Children with so-called Down syndrome or Mongol children, they also tend to have sleep disorders. Children who have weak muscles, either upper airway, lower airway. So there are so many of these disorders where children may have sleep disorders. Very preterm babies can have sleep disorders. Children with a lot of allergies can have sleep disorders and disturb sleep in the night. Also rare syndromes, which of course which a doctor will diagnose and tell you, these are kids who will have a lot of sleep disorders.
So like things that are obvious, like you mentioned, like abnormal faces, abnormal structures and all, these are something that the parents can pick up. But what about other things? Are there any other signs or symptoms that parents can make out, know that my child is sleeping abnormally or is not getting enough sleep? What should they look for and come to us for help?
Very, very important and relevant question. So I think the first thing that a parent should note is if it's a properly sleep trained child, meaning a child who has been trained to go to bed at a particular time and get up at a particular time. So that's first and foremost, because that if the sleep training is not proper, it's just a sleep hygiene issue. Okay. The other issue is if the child is snoring at night. Now 15 to 20% of children would normally snore. So we would not worry about it, and many a times children will only snore if they are very tired or if they have a cold. That is again normal. But if these children are snoring and they are almost snorting or making gasping sounds at death, so when they sleep, they are sleeping, they are snoring, and then they go. So these are kids who are getting obstructed, or children who take abnormal positions during sleep. So I have parents whose parents come and tell me that my child only sleeps on my stomach, cannot sleep straight.
Okay.
So this child is sleeping like this because he wants to open his airway.
So he's more comfortable in that position.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or children who just keep on moving on the bed because they cannot get proper sleep. Restless.
Okay.
Or children who keep getting up, right? Or kids who are, after doing all this in the day, are either very hyperactive or sleep a lot. Then they have scholastic issues because they are not slept well in the night. If you don't sleep well in the night, will you be able to do a duty next day? So same thing. Now these kids have scholastic issues. Some of them also start bedwetting because their sleep is disturbed, right? And in the day, either they are hyperactive or very somnolent, scholastic issues, and in long term, these children have cardiac and pulmonary issues also. They tend to have high blood pressures. It can affect their cognition, their brain, their lung function, their heart function. So these are the disorders. This is how they will present in long term. But parents should be aware if a child is snoring too much, abnormal postures, too much awakenings, started bedwetting, or having daytime issues, they should bring to the doctor.
Right. So basically sleep disorders is not only related just to sleep, because sleep disorders can affect your health, your physical health, your mental health. It can affect the parents. A lot of things can get affected. So that's the reason.
You brought out a very important point, Behzad, and I thank you for bringing it out, because we have seen that babies who don't sleep lead to a lot of depression and anxiety in the mothers, because they also don't sleep. So it's the whole family which gets disturbed. So it's very important that the child sleeps well so that the whole family gets sleep well.
So Dr. Indu, can you tell us how we at SRCC are going to help these parents who have children with sleep disorders?
So our sleep clinic basically looks at educating parents on, first of all, how to develop healthy sleep habits, right? So there are certain norms which they have to follow, and it's not easy for the parents to follow because they think from the heart rather than from the mind. So many of these norms will say, okay, if the child is getting up and crying in the sleep, let him be. That's called Faber's way of training the children. So there are different mechanisms which we will instruct.
They don't want to over pamper also, basically.
Absolutely. Over or under, both they have to look into. So we try to teach you how you must sleep train your child. That is one aspect of the sleep thing. And if your child has disorders related to sleep, then we do specialized tests which are called the sleep studies, which is an overnight study where the child is observed with the help of certain machines, which is called as a polysomnography in technical terms. So the child is observed through the night with the help of these machines to see if the child is sleeping well, or is he awakening, or is he having any other problem like a dip in oxygen, etc. when he is sleeping. So these are ways which we can identify and then we can manage. The commonest reason is enlarged tonsils and adenoids, right? So many of these children, if you identify that is the reason, then maybe a simple surgery like removal of tonsil and adenoids may do the trick, and that's the end of it. But in other disorders, you may need more help depending on what the cause of the sleep disorder then is.
Dr. Indu, you mentioned that this test for polysomnography to see how the child is sleeping. Now, some parents might be concerned, is this an invasive test? Is there any pricks involved? Is there any pain to my child? So what do you have to say about that?
So though there is no pricks or pain involved in this test, it does require a little preparation of the child by the parents, because the child has to sleep in the hospital with a lot of wires all over him, though it doesn't prick him, but the wires have to be attached. So we generally take care to explain to the parent and to the child what we are going to do to get absolute cooperation, because the child needs to sleep. So I do understand the anxiety and the apprehension of the parents, but it is not that invasive a test as one may call it, but just connection to multiple monitors is what we need.
Absolutely. So besides the normal sleep disorders that you already mentioned, are there any other disorders that you would like to speak about?
So many parents do complain that my child gets up in the night shouting, screaming, and is inconsolable, something like a night terror or a nightmare. Then you may have children who sleepwalk. You may have children who have movement disorders in the sleep, like they keep shaking their legs. It's called periodic leg movement, restless leg syndrome. So these are movement disorders which can also affect sleep. So these are also the other disorders that we look into when we in the sleep clinic, and some of them may require investigations.
Okay.
So this is a spectrum of disorders that we look at in the sleep clinic.
So to sum it up, I think SRCC Children's Hospital is going to have a sleep clinic very soon, which also is going to be a multidisciplinary kind of clinic, and we are going to look into all the aspects of your child's sleep, just not whether it is disturbed or not, but like Madam said, any abnormal movements, any other abnormalities that may concern the parents. So Dr. Indu, suppose one of our parents out there has some concerns regarding her child, how can they get in touch with us, or what should they do?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, that we do have a specialized multidisciplinary clinic. So they have to get in touch with the SRCC hospital and take an appointment, and I'm sure they will be directed how to go about this. Thank you very much, Behzad.
Thank you, Dr.